Hey, I'm James from JBS, and I got a couple sheaves here, one from the competition, and they're always over there, bashing our product and then saying that we're the one doing the bashing. But this is my opinion, and I'm going to show you what Yamaha does and what we've done since 2014 when we started making the Viking sheaves, and what they haven't done. And the first thing I want to go over is, if you own a X4 and you've pulled out in high with the wheels turned, you know that it revs up quite a bit, and then the clutch will engage, and then you can kind of back out of the throttle and it'll stay engaged, but it revs up quite a bit and slips on takeoff. Well, what that does is, every time that clutch is slipping, the clutch material goes straight over on the crank. So you want to eliminate all the slippage that you can. And so I'm gonna just start off. I got me a little list here, and I'm gonna go over a few things. So when Yamaha puts these seals in, I'm gonna pop these two just so we can see. And these are two brand new sheaves. All right. If you take this camera and you look, there's a little sliver right here. If you can see that, and there's a ridge around the middle of this seal. Well, this is not in there in a brand new seal. This is in there because there's a groove cut right here about 80 thousandths out, and that groove is so that seal protrudes into that groove. Now what happens if that groove's not in there is grease seeps out around the seal. And I'll tell you how I know that, because I did one and didn't put the groove in it when I tested on the Vikings, and then when I pulled it back out and looked at it, there was some grease seepage. So I went back and looked, and I said, well, there's the difference. All right, so on this sheave there's no groove. You can see right there, all along there's no groove. This seal will seep, I guarantee it. Yamaha put it in there for a reason. And people will say, what's the difference between a Hunterworks and a JBS? And some of them post up price. Well, this is what you're pushing, less than Yamaha quality. And we don't do that. We make sure it's right. And then, so there's the first issue that I found personally with that. And every sheave we put out, anybody that's bought our sheave can take theirs, pull it out, and they can see that there's a little groove in there just like Yamaha put. Takes a little extra time. It's time on the machine, but it's worth the money. All right, I'll just try to go down the list, and if I got to back up, I will. All right, on the inside of here, this sheave only has a few miles on it. You can tell just by the blackness of the belt. The guy bought it, wouldn't do what he said, was told, and I traded him out to get one just to look at it and see. But when I got it and this coating was on here, I noticed there's barely any wear on the face, but there's still already, you can see spots where it's wearing the coating off and little grooves. All right, and that's going to do the same thing as it does with this. This is a factory sheave with arm milling, and it has grooves in it from the factory and the round weights. It's going to happen on any of them. It's a wear item. There's no way that these clutches aren't going to wear no matter what they tell you. All right, so another thing I wanted to talk about is the milling on the post. He says the cam plate's too tight. I've never seen a stock X2, X4 have an issue with a cam plate. I've never had an issue with mine. And the only reason we did it on the 660s, and this is another thing he basically copied me on, is because we use a 700 cam plate, and the tolerances are different. All right, on the 660s, and to keep you from, so you ain't got fake news, on the 660, the cam plate always turned this way and broke this side of the fins first, because that's the way the torque is. All right, so anybody that has our 660 sheave, if you look, we milled this side, the right hand side, if you're looking at it this way, So we didn't allow the cam plate to turn farther under torque. All right, so we have a reason when we do stuff. All right, on this one, he milled it on this side, the same side as the torque. And then he's loosening up the cam plate sliders. So after you get some miles on it in dusty situations, it's probably going to do the same thing that the 660s does and break a fin. Not 100% sure because I haven't tested it, but more than likely that's what's going to happen. All right, another thing, if you look at the milling down in here, this milling, I mean, another reason why the price. I mean, you can see how much is milled here. There might be 3/16 of a ledge here. Didn't go down in the bottom. You know, there's another almost a ½ an inch down there in the bottom. Barely took out any. All right. When you go over here and you look at ours, it's milled all the way down into the bottom. Has 2 reliefs for the edge of the weight. A lot more milling there. All right. On the outside, the round weight's moving out. All right. Everybody always milled, and he used a ball mill on this, and there's a lip here. You can see where the coating is, and then you can see that sharp lip right there. It is not smooth. Anybody that has one can feel theirs. I mean, it is what it is. It's not smooth. All right, then you go over here to ours, and let me explain something here and show you. All right, if you look at this top lip right here, this is the original casting, so you can kind of see how much he took out. All right, on ours, you can still see the original casting, but look how long the ramp is. All right, so what we did here is we didn't want to make the weight move out real far. We're making the weight ride the ramp. We extended the ramp up, so it's pushing as much up as it is out. All right, and if you reach in here and feel ours, Little James takes all the time to make sure there's no lips in here, and it's a quality job. And when you guys get this, you can feel it. It's a mill into a ramp, and you can't even feel no transfer. All right, that takes time right there, just doing this, because if you mill too far, then you got a groove here. Don't mill enough, you got to groove the other way. So a lot more time on the machine for our sheaves. All right, so now also there's less time on this side because he don't take it in as far. He bevels this here and puts a seal in it, and you know, there really was no reason to bevel this. The belt's not down there yet. I mean, he could have took it a little bit off the face right here if he was wanting to do it for top end, but some of this stuff is just don't do anything. And then you look at the face on ours, the whole face is even from one end to the other. That allows for more belt travel. You know, we also run a shim, and that's another thing. We got Massive over there telling people mine don't have no bottom end, take out the shim. Well, my clutch was designed with that shim to have a lot of bottom end. So you need to stay with your day job, whatever that is, because you definitely don't know what you're talking about. All right. So, all right, what happens when you run greaseless? Let me tell you, because I've done it a million times. All right. I've done it a million times if he sold 200,000 weights. All right. So what happens is the dust gets in there and the moisture, and it's not dust no more, and it stops the weights from moving, and when you roll backwards, the belt will chirp and then it will take off. It's going to happen. I've done it. I know. I put a lot of miles down, not hard road miles. I think he done that for a reason, because he was always talking about how many miles I got. Well, you got to do it in the woods, dude, if you want to compete with me. All right. So that dust that's just in them few places, we got it in West Virginia too, just so you know. You don't be selling them in West Virginia dry greases. All right. There's never been an issue with the cam plate sliders. All right. All right, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show how to check the ratios and show how to do it on a calculator too, so y'all can see what I'm doing and how I get 10, 15, 20%, whatever my percentage is, and that way you can see it. And there might have been something I left out here But I tell you what, when you get our X2, X4 sheave, you're going to get more bottom end. That's why this one I haven't done yet. This is a customer's, he sent his in. And it's one of the, he had a Hunterworks too. And so we're going to remove his lip, get the face pulled down enough to get all of his grooving out, and then he's going to see the difference in how much bottom end he's got. All right, and now we're going to put these sheaves in my X4, and I'm going to check the ratios and show you how to check the percentages. But this is just some of the things I've seen, and so y'all can cipher through the fake news. Check out JBS Performance. Thanks for watching.